So you're seeing that?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, usual rules, nothing there that's different for the meeting. What we're going to do is go through each of the menu items on the top row of Parish Online. The rules of geometry we covered earlier, but I'll just reiterate them for you. And then we're going to be a rather more full interactive session whereby you do all the work and I sit back and drink coffee.
Lovely.
Yes. Incidentally, were you doing the stuff this morning?
Yeah.
You were good.
Yes,
good.
And I didn't know that you could upload pictures. So that was really helpful. I think it's quite helpful going right to the basics, even though I've been using it a little bit because I haven't actually been taught. I've just guessed a bit.
Oh, you'd be amazed at putting these courses together. I found all the things I didn't know anything about.
Oh, wicked.
Because my ignorance was enormous. Okay, so we're just going to go through each of these menu items on the very top line, first of all. So up on here is what I call a hamburger menu. I don't know if anyone's got a better word for it. That's what the Americans call it, and I think it's very apt. So I just call it the hamburger menu. And all that it does is it turns off the left-hand column, which gives you the majority, the maximum screen space for your map. And then you toggle it back on again to put the column back in. And the advantage is, of course, you get extra space to put that on the map. The disadvantage is that you lose the left-hand column when you're calling up data records and so forth. So use it with care. I've not actually seen anybody use it for real, but it's there just in case you need it.
Okay.
So we're now back on the main screen. The next choice is view. And there are three opportunities under view: bookmarks, coordinate feature, and legend. And we're going to go into bookmarks first. And this is one of my favorite toys, if you will. So I've already got all sorts of bookmarks in place, which, as you can probably recognize from the terminology, are mostly, but not entirely, planning applications.
Yeah.
And I store all of our planning applications back for the last 3 years, and they're all visible on our village website through Parish Online's public map facility. And so it's really easy when in the middle of a parish council meeting or something, and someone says, whatever happened to such and such an application? You can just jump to it and find it. And what the bookmarks do is they store exactly what you want to have in place in terms of the position, geographically, the layers you want in place, the zoom and scroll, so that you can just come straight back to it. So we'll just do an example of this. If you look down at the bottom left of the map, there's a little village called Thorney, and the scale is 1,000 meters to that particular length. And now if we click on the first bookmark up here, you'll see that everything has changed. So the map's changed place, the scale has changed, we've zoomed in, we've turned on the layer for 2020 planning applications, and it was just a single click that did all that for you. So the steps to have gone through, if you didn't have a bookmark, you'd have had to go and select the layer, and then you'd have to go and zoom in on the right scale, and then you have to scroll through sideways or up and down until you get to the right place. But a bookmark does the whole lot for you in one go, so it's fabulous. The one issue is that they don't store them in any other order than the order in which you create them. So there's no chronological order particularly that you can use. There's no alphabetical order. It's a real pain. But the beauty of the system is you can use your computer's Control F facility, which I'll show in a second. The other thing I wanted to mention is that to add a bookmark, which is what we're actually in, you've got on the view bookmark, and then just up here you type in the name and select a space. It's a piece of cake. So moving on to the next thing, if I type on Control F in Windows or Linux facility, you get a little window up here, and you just type in the first 3 or 4 letters, and immediately it highlights in your list of bookmarks which ones match. And so you very quickly go from a list of hundreds of bookmarks, which I've got, down to just the 2 that happen to match what I've typed in up here. So it's very quick of finding for you the one that you want. There's one major disadvantage to bookmarks, which is they're allocated to the person that created them. So if you want to share your bookmarks with other people, they have to log in with your account, or you have to log in with their account. So I get around that by I've created a parish council account, which then everybody in our parish council uses. So we all have access to the same bookmarks. And I always do everything as parish council, do nothing as Graham or treasurer or whatever else they want to call me. I just do it all as parish council, purely so that everyone has access to the list of bookmarks. But if you log in as Georgie and someone else logs in as, I got something down for Florida. Was it Beatrice in Florida?
Yeah, Beatrice.
Yeah, right. So if she logs in as Beatrice and you log in as Georgie, you cannot see each other's bookmarks, which is a real pain, I think.
Mm.
So that's just a sort of side issue to take away. Next, the next one under view is coordinate finder. And this is really fun because people end up in completely the wrong place at times. We're going to click on coordinate finder, and this is for when someone has sent you and said, look, I'm standing at that long so-and-so, where the hell am I in terms of the map? So it comes up with this column on the left, and the really important thing is this first field, which is the coordinate type. So when you click on here, you get three choices. You get the British National Grid, which is mostly what Parish Online is using, which gives you Latin long, but they're in decimal format. Then you can use Latin long in the normal format that you're used to, which is hours, minutes, and seconds. No, I tell a lie there. I'm sorry. The National Grid pays no attention to the difference between East and West. They adjust the coordinates accordingly. But on the world standard grid, you have to say everything east of Greenwich is a positive sign. So if it's got a plus number, you know it's somewhere to the east. But if it's west of Greenwich, then it's got a minus sign. So +1 is a completely different place from -1 you'd expect. But in the British National Grid system, they don't have the plus and the minus. They just have 1 all the way around to 360. So selecting the correct grid type up here is important. The numbers you get here are in decimal format. So if you've got them, someone sent them to you in the normal hours, minutes, degrees, hours, and seconds. Dearie, let's start again. Degrees, minutes, and seconds of that long. Do you know what I mean by that?
No.
Okay, so if you're in Sevenoaks, which is to the east of Greenwich, or are you just below Greenwich? We're just slightly to the east? Yeah, I think so. So the Latin long for you will be something like, let's just say 50 degrees north. 1 minute. So it's 50 degrees, 1 minute, and let's just say 10 seconds. And that's the degree of your position in terms of latitude. But you've got to convert that 51, 10, or whatever it was I said, into a decimal. And there's a link here. When I send you the presentation, this link will take you to a place that will convert the normal that long into the decimal format that you need for here. Quite, that's a long way around of saying it. Sorry about that, but and now I've gone too far. So then when you click on, enter, you enter the values and click on go, it will come up with the location that you find as a dot on the map. However, often you find that you're just a dot in the middle of a completely blank screen. And that means that you're somewhere in the middle of the ocean. And either you've got the wrong coordinate type or you've left out the minus sign. So I often end up somewhere down near the Scillies and the Isles of Scilly when I actually meant to be somewhere in Somerset. But it's just a matter of getting the signs right or the coordinates right. Sounds complicated, but it's actually a piece of cake when you do it. So here I've got an example for you. I've taken our church in the middle of Long Sutton. I've used the British National Grid and I've put in these coordinates and then done search, and it pops up with this block here. So because we're using the British National Grid, there's no minus sign anywhere in the eastings with 346 degrees. So we're almost gone all the way around east from Greenwich, 360 degrees for the full circle, and we're now 346 degrees, near enough for us. If you then change to a different format, which is this one, this is the latitude and the longitude, and you'll notice here that our longitude is now minus 2.75, as opposed to this 346, whatever nonsense. And latitude is, again, that. So they came up with the same dot in the same place, just using a different set of coordinates, dearie me. And that one. And then lastly, you can do it the other way around. If you right click anywhere in your parish online, you come up with this little mini menu here, the one that says copy bookmarks and feature. If you go into copy, the coordinates will be the national grid coordinates of that particular building you've clicked on, or the coordinates lat long will be in lat long. So the system automatically copies those into your clipboard, and then you can see them by just pasting them into anything you like. I tend to use this search box up here as just a nice convenient place to check that I've got it, but you can click it into a notepad or on wherever you like. And this extent thing just marks the corners of the screen so that you can come back here if you need to. I don't think I've ever known anyone use the extents, but it's there. Okay, last item under the view menu is legend. You may well have run into this, but it's really helpful to know when there's a whole bunch of colors on the screen, what does each color mean? So if I go back now to the main screen and we turn on a layer that's got colors in it, I've turned on addresses and I've selected the address plus points, okay? And now you'll notice that we've come up with an address for every single building in the area, and also a few places that aren't buildings. And the question is, what do these colors mean? So if I turn on the legend, go up here, view legend, then you get this, sorry, I've done the step for you, view legend, then we go there, and here it shows you what each of these color codes means. So you can see exactly how these blue colors, red colors, and green colors, what they actually mean in terms of the map.
Okay, I've always wondered what that was.
Yeah, well, there you go. Legend is actually quite convenient. And when you do a printout to a PDF, one of the options they give you is to print out the legend as well. And that's very helpful because it puts the color coding into the printout. Very useful. Moving on. So just to remind you where we've been, we've done the hamburger, which turns the left column on and off. We've done the view, three ways of doing bookmarks, coordinates, and legend. And now we're going to go into print. So up here, when you want to use the print menu, you want to zoom and scroll roughly to where you want to print out. So if we're going to say we want to print out the center of the village, then I've adjusted the screen so that I'm showing the center of the village roughly in the middle of the screen. Then you click on the print menu and you get the center box here is exactly what is going to be printed out. And you can now scroll around here and you can zoom in and out to change this to be exactly what you want in the actual fitted into this box. So if you want to increase the scale, or you want to slide a bit to the left or right or up or down, you can do all that. And the box will show you what it is you're going to print out. And then I mentioned here that there's a whole box of things here. We'll go on to the next slide and show you filling those in. So you get a chance to put in a title. And when we do the printout, you'll see where that title appears. Then you get a chance to put in a description. And I've just written in the geographical focus of the village. You get a chance to choose the size. So there's A4 landscape and portrait, A3 landscape and portrait. And then there's a special one for planning applications. That's if you, the village council, or in your case, the Sevenoaks Council, is making a planning application for themselves. So that's those choices.
What's the difference between the planning application one? Just because I've had to do a couple of planning applications and I've just done them on one of the A3 ones.
That's fine. Just if you've done the A3 one, pull it up and then print it out as a planning application. You can see the difference.
Okay.
That sounds rather Weasley of me, to tell you the truth. I've never actually used it, so I don't know what it does.
Okay, no, that's a good, yeah, I'll see.
That's good. All right, so we've chosen A4 landscape here. Moving on to the next slide. This is where you get the choice of whether you want it to be a PDF, which is very good for printing things out, or a PNG if it's a graphics file, such as if you're doing the neighborhood plan or something. Here's where you get the chance to put the legend in. You get the chance to put in the north arrow, which I've selected. You can hide the author, and you'll see what happens when you do or don't do that. And again, you can toggle the mask, which I discuss in another couple of slides, so I'm not going to bother here. So when you've got everything set up the way you want it to be, you just click on print. And it appears initially as if nothing's happening, but what happens is you get a little sign here saying I'm printing, which basically means it's thinking hard. And I think in the latest version, you actually get the little circular arrows going round and round and round to show you that it's working. Oh, no, it's right, it's this little circular arrow down here that's spinning around. And then when it's finished, it comes up with the title that you put in there, if you put it in. If you didn't put in a title, then it comes up with some sort of complicated system name, which means something to Parish Online, but absolutely nothing to you or me. But it's just a name to distinguish it from any other printout. And then to see what the print actually does, you print on this particular link item here, which is one of those squares with an arrow going out to the top right corner. So you click on that, and this is what you get. So you can see, here's the title, the village centre. Here's the long description, the folks of the village. Here's who logged in. I logged in as the Long Sutton Parish Council, the date we did it. And we've got a north compass showing you which way is north, just in case it was a matter of confusion. And then when you're in your normal windows, you get the chance of either downloading this to save it as a file, or you can just print it out as a piece of paper. So very useful way of sending maps to people. If you're doing, I don't know, mowing contracts or something like that, you can produce a map that shows exactly the pieces of grass that you want the contractor to do. And you may have, for all I know, several contractors. So you can do one of these for contractor A, another one for contractor B, and one for contractor C, and then just send them the PDFs and they know exactly what it is that they're supposed to be doing. And again, you can save them on your system as a memoir for future reference, or even better, as you've already noted, you just attach it to the appropriate record so that it's there for anyone to see in the future. Okay, so other print options, if we go back to where we were here, you get a chance here of doing this to scale. That's particularly useful if someone says, could we have a printout at scale of 1 in 5,000, or whatever it happens to be. You can choose the numbers here. There's a drop-down list, or you can actually type in what you want if it's not on the drop-down list. I mentioned that you can hide the author, and toggling the mask is only applicable if you're printing something that's on the parish boundary. And you can choose to make a big distinction between what's inside the parish boundary and what's outside by toggling a mask. And the mask is either bright or dim or a complete change of color. So it can be very dramatic. It's worth playing with yourself. The mask button, when you look at your Parish Online, is about down here in the middle of the bottom line. But very useful. If you want to know all about it, come to my next training session. So that covers printing. We've done the first 3 menus. Next one is table. Table, I think you love table. All right, we're back on the regular map. We've gone back to the middle of this entrance. We're going to click now on table. And what pops up is this screen. And it says, so what layer do you want to show? So you click on this and it'll show you all of your layers. You just click the one that you want to put a table view for. Then you can choose any particular column, a filter here. And maybe I'm getting ahead of myself, so let me get that to the next page. So when you do a drop down here, you get all the available layers, and I'm just clicking allotment plots for the sake of this presentation. And it immediately pops up with all the records in the system for our allotments within Long Sutton. So you can record, who owns which ones they are, how much they pay for it, when do they last pay, when does the lease finish, all that sort of stuff. And then you can use these other columns to drill down to reduce the number. So I'm going to say, let's click on column, which I'll do. And then it comes up with the various columns that we use within the system. And we're going to say ID. And then we want to, we're just going to find all the ones that have got GSS in the records. So I'm going to leave it as contains, and I'm going to type GSS in here. And then you'll see that's what it looks like. So show the allotment plots where the ID contains GSS, and lo and behold, it goes up and comes up with just the 2 records that have got GSS in the ID. Very cunningly called GSS1 and GSS2. I thought you'd appreciate that. You can put multiple choices in here if you want to. So you would put in, we've already got GSS1 and 2. We're going to add long and plots to select the records that contain either of those. So we're going to show it there. We've added in long, we've added in plots, clicked on save, and now it comes up with just the records in this view that contain the word long or the word plots. And we come up with these 3 records. So one of the beauties of table view is that you can edit things here. So if you've got several changes to make, like you've re-signed several agreements or whatever, you adjust the records, you get the ones you want on the screen, and then you can just go in here and change them, which is really convenient. And to save the changes you've made, if you've been changing changes in this record, just click anywhere down here and it saves it. And then you can go to here. When you made your change, go up there and click that one. You just need to click on another record to do the saving, okay?
Okay.
And what it says with the editing rules is you won't be able to put nothing at all in a field that's a required type. So we discussed required types this morning.
Yeah.
If it's a required type, you can't leave it empty. That's pretty nice. It's sensible.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, the editing rules apply. Okay, next time. This feature, I think, is really appealing. If you say, actually, I now want to see where this is, click on that particular record so it's highlighted, and then click on the View on Map button, and it just comes up and shows you exactly where that is on the map. I think it's
I love
very
that.
sweet.
That's genius.
Yeah, that's really nice. And then you can also export all this to a spreadsheet if that's convenient for you. So this is the one I clicked on, that particular record, and it instantly popped up with that particular allotment. And now we click on the export button and it goes out to a spreadsheet. It asks you if you want to include the metadata, and the metadata is this funny stuff here, like who created it, when was it created, when was it last edited, this sort of stuff. Sometimes that's useful. Sometimes you have no need for it. So you get the choice of whether you put it in or not, and then export it, and it goes off and saves it wherever you tell it to be saved. And it comes out as a CSV file, which you can open with a spreadsheet or with Notepad or almost anything. And the data is very handily ready for you to do whatever you want to do with it.
So would that be especially helpful for like listing the assets?
Absolutely, although there is a brand new feature that's been in there for about at least a month now, where they've got a print feature for the assets under the tools, I think, where you can print the entire asset register out in one go, which is really, really convenient for your insurance company. When the time comes to renew your insurance, you can click out on the asset, print out the entire asset register, and now you've got a complete record of everything that they're supposed to be insuring. Very, very convenient. Again, there's a separate training session on the asset register, if you like.
I'll be there.
Yeah, it's very useful, very useful. Yeah. So just to recap where we've gone to, we've done the first 4 menu items. The next one is tools. So under tool, oh, look at that, asset register export. There it is. So we're actually going to cover it for you here. I'm so clever. All right.
You are.
Right. So measuring is a really sweet and useful tool inside Parish Online. So we're going to click measure here. And what we're going to say is we want to measure the length of the road from the A372, this road, all the way down to the parish boundary. That's just for an exercise for us to do. So we clicked on measure, it pops up here and says, what is it you want to measure? Do you want to measure length or do you want to measure area? We're going to say length. And then you can choose the units that you want to measure in, whether it's metric or imperial or whatever. So when you're ready to start measuring, when you sort of selected length and you selected the metrics here, if you want to, I would just accept the defaults. Then you go to the top where you're going to start and just click once. And then the same way as you drew that pavilion this morning, you can follow this line that you're measuring down. And every time it changes direction, just click the mouse again and you can go around the corner and then you can go back down again and click again. Every time you click, you can change direction until you get to the end. When you get to the end, you double click. So you end up with this line. You can see I've roughly followed the map, the line of the load, and double click, and it gives you the answer straight away, 1950.6958 meters. Now, if you need to be more accurate than that, and you can see I've just done broad brush treatment, you can go back in, re-edit this and follow the road much more closely if you want to, doing the stuff that we showed you this morning when it was editing. But this is nice and neat. I think for most government uses, 1950.6958 meters is pretty damn close. If you're painting white lines or something, maybe it's important to know the distance. Anyway, that's measuring distance. You can do exactly the same again with area. So this time I've gone into measure, I've gone and selected the area measurement. I've said, well, I want to measure in square meters, and we're going to measure this play area. So same principle. Get the mouse on the top left corner, click once, and then drag it down to here, click again, change direction, and go up. And then you'll see you get this. When you get to the end, double click, and again, you immediately get an indication of the area. So very good for people who are mowing grass. They need to know what it is that they're actually doing in terms of how much work is there, how much area, you now know. Or if it's something that you're going to be tarmacking over, if you decide that you're going to move the play area, everything is going to come out of there and you're going to make this a larger car park, whatever it happens to be, now you know how much tarmac you're going to need. Good stuff. And then in the dots here, you get the chance of removing or annotating this particular record. Okay, so that was measuring under tools. The second item is isochrone. Isochrone is surprisingly handy. So when you click on isochrone, it comes up with this chart on the left, and you say, I'm going to be traveling by car, but you could do it for walking or for bicycling. And it asks you to choose the starting point where you're going to start your journey. So I'm choosing the center point here in the middle of the village, and then just click go. And it comes up with this weird looking diagram, which looks rather odd, but in fact makes a lot of sense. So there are 3 colors here, although they're not easy to see. There's the green area, there's the brown area, and there's the pink area. And what each of these does is say, the green is how far you can travel by your selected mode of transport, which is the car, in 5 minutes. The brown area is how far you can go in 15 minutes, and the 30 minutes is the pink area. So I can get to Taunton in 30 minutes. The reason it's such a jagged or unusual shape is that the system is taking account of where there are roads and where there aren't roads. So if it's a track, it doesn't expect you to go at 60 miles an hour along the little tracks here. But if it's the main road into Taunton, then it does expect you to get be able to do 60 miles an hour, except where there's speed limits, of course, which it takes into account. I mean, it's very clever, this mapping system. So you're possibly used to something like Google, which says, show me the distance I can travel in 15 minutes, and it comes up as a circle around your start point, and then there's another circle for the 30 minutes, and there's another circle for the hour, but that pays no attention whatsoever to what the available geography is like. And so particularly if you're a bicycle or if you're walking, you can walk a lot further or faster along a road than you can a footpath or the open fields, and even more so with bicycles. So, and you can change these selected lengths. It doesn't have to be 5, 15, 30, it can be any number you like. So it's a really useful system for hikers, bikers, people who want to sort of go off for a 2-hour ride. How far can I get in 2 hours? And then you can show them. So that was isochrones. The next tool is annotate. Annotate, surprisingly useful. I really quite like annotate. So when you click on annotate, it comes up, and if you've done previous ones, you can do a list all, and it'll show you ones you've done before. In this case, I'm going to start with a completely brand new one. So we're going to click on new object. And what I'm going to do is say, I want to export data from the middle of this village. And what I'm going to do is say, give me the addresses of every house within a 500-meter circle at the center of the village. And that's just the sort of thing that you can do with this. That's the example I'm using. You can choose whatever you like. So we click on a new object, and it says, what do you want to annotate? And this thing here, which you might think was a circle, is actually a point. This is a line, and this is a polygon. So remember the 3 geometry types?
Yeah.
You also choose a label. All right, so select what you want. If you want to draw a circle, choose the polygon. Now we're going to do a 500-meter circle, so we select polygon, and up it comes with this screen. And you can see that you can, there's a box here to click saying use circle, which is lovely, very handy. And then if you want to, you can change the colors and the opacity here. Again, we showed you that roughly that this morning. You can choose what color is on the outside of the circle, the limit. Do you want it in black? Do you want it thick? Do you want it thin? Do you want it in sky blue or purple or something? And are you going to use labels? So we're going to say, yes, we're going to use labels, and yes, we're going to use the circle. And up it pops, all right? Now, the circle can be any size you like. You just either pull it to the diameter you want, or you can actually set it here and it will automatically jump to whatever you entered here. Okay, same thing, you can change the colors again if you don't like this bright red. We put a label on, so now you type in here what the label is going to say, and lo and behold, it says exactly that here. Okay, when you're happy, click on finish. So now it's saved that circle. And you remember that we wanted to export all the addresses of all the houses in that circle. So now that you've got the circle in place, you click on it to bring up the data record in the left. So I'm going to click on it, and up it comes with this record. And what you want to do is to click here on the 3 little dots. And that comes up with a submenu that says data extract or copy to another layer. So you asked me this morning about copying to another layer. Yeah. This is where you do the copy of this particular diagram to another layer if you want to. But what we're going to do now is the data extract. So I click on data extract, and it says, what do you want to extract? So I'm going to click on here, extract from, and I'm going to say the address plus points, because those are the addresses of every building in the area. I don't think we want to bother with filtering. So having just selected address plus points, you click on run, and bingo, up comes every address of every house within that circle. I mean, isn't that sweet? I think it's a really neat trick.
That is so good. That would have been so helpful.
Yeah, you can try, and it doesn't have to be a circle. You can do a square, you can do whatever you want. it does say polygon, and by polygon, it means you can choose any shape. So you can go around the parish boundary, which is a typical one. You know, people want to know how many houses are there inside our parish. You can just run around the outside of the parish boundary and then click and say export, and away you go. And same old thing, you get this as a CSV file, which you can then open with your spreadsheet or your notepad or whatever you like. So going back to tools, on the way there, there's just this note. There's a particularly good entry in the knowledge base about annotations, and I do suggest you read it. So I give you the link in the presentation when you get it. It just takes you straight to it because it's very good at explaining there's several ways of getting to the same end within Parish Online. All right, so we've done annotate. We're now down to the asset register export, which funny enough, you just asked me about. So we're going to click on that. And it comes up again with your column on the left, and it says basically, what do you want to export? And by default, it says everything, okay? So first of all, the format at the moment is only PDF. What we're hoping for in the future is they're going to develop the CSV file so that you can get one that you can use with the spreadsheet, which is really handy, but they haven't got there yet. But so you get a PDF, which is precisely what you need to send off to the insurance company. So down here, you can get the chance to deselect any layers you don't want. So by default, every layer in the asset register is selected, but you can just click on this little mini arrow. It'll drop down and show you every layer in the asset register, and you can just toggle them off or on as you want, and then click on generate report. Now, there's another one of those things where it looks as if nothing's happening, all right, but the system is whirring away, it's generating the data, and the open will change to a big black sign when it's ready for you. And then you click on it, and up you get. Here we've got this PDF file. Now you can see I've got 12 pages of records. So it saved me a huge amount of work. It's done all the work for me. You've got all the details you can see vaguely over here in this corner. Every item in the asset register, what its value is, when it was last valued, when it was last insured, all that sort of thing. Just what your insurance company needs when you do sort of every 3-year renewal of your insurance costs. Great, I think it's a great tool, but I really want them to come up with a CSV file version as opposed to just the PDF.
On my one, it also it gives you the option to tick include maps, parish boundaries, show maps.
Oh yes, yes, I forgot to mention that. If you include the maps, it's very convenient because it shows you where in your parish each item is. So let's suppose that you've just said we're insuring the war memorial. Now, in some places, the war memorial is in the churchyard, some places it's in the village green, some places it's none of the above. So it can be very convenient for the insurance company to have a map that shows them where the war memorial is. But my warning to you is that because you're generating maps, one for every item in there, it can take a while. It will eventually do it. It works fine, but just be warned that it can take a little bit. And we're used to doing everything within split seconds in Parish Online, but this one may take a minute or two. And what was the other one? Was it the totals, the parish boundaries?
Yeah, parish boundaries, map, mask, and 0 rows.
Right. So the 0 rows is self-evident. If there are no entries for anything in a layer, then do you want it to be put in? The answer is usually no. So it would be for, do you want to include the 0 rows, which just shows that you considered whether you've got any park benches and you don't have any, so they're 0. But if you don't toggle that, then it doesn't even print out park benches if there's nothing in there. And the toggling of the map mask is that there's different colors. I can't remember if we get into that. No, it's not this one. It's the 104 that contains the map masking stuff. But that's easy. We can play with that in the question and answer session if you like. All right, so we've moved on. We're going to be using the create, which is the next logical choice during the interactive session. So now I'm just going to jump straight across to search, which is this button up here. And there are two options within search. You can either search for addresses or postcode, and you select which one you want by just clicking on this little mini button. If you select address, then you can type in any address and the system will find it if it exists, and ditto for a postcode. So we'll show you the postcode first. So I'm clicking on postcode here. I'm typing in somewhere way over in Norwich, which just happened to be a subject of discussion for somebody. And immediately it jumps over to the East Coast and sticks the dot right in the middle of that postal code. So if you know roughly where you want to get to, then this is a great way of finding it. You know, if you know you've got a friend who lives in Wimbledon, which is SW19, you can type in SW19 and the system jumps straight to it, which saves you a lot of scrolling and zooming. Alternatively, we can go on and put in an address. So I just typed in the first part of the address of a house I used to live in, and I only got as far as Riverwoods, then it found exactly what I wanted without my having to type in the rest of the postcode or Marlow or anything else like that. And again, bang, it came up with the house that I used to live in. So it's a great time saver, and you don't have to type in the entire address. It'll just seek out what you want based on what you first type. Very convenient. So we've done now this search menu. We've left out the create menu because we're coming back to that. So now we're going on to the cogwheel, which is services. And when you click on the cogwheel, like we did this morning, you get 4 choices. And the first one I'm going to show you is administration. And the central column, I don't know if it happens for you, but it can appear empty when it starts. It may in fact be empty because you don't have any layers, but usually it's because it's just downloading the layers that do exist, and it'll pop up after a second or two. But that's irrelevant to now because we're going to go up here and look at these individual choices on the left-hand column. So here's, it's now filled in with our layers. So we're going to go up and click on my organization as the first choice up here. And all it does here is tell you what your PSGA license number is, which is good, and whether you are successfully subscribed to the data set for the aerial photography, which by doing the PSGA, you automatically get that. So yes, but that's just where you find the information later if you ever need it. All right, we're now going to go into users. So I'm clicking on users here. And up pops in the middle all the user accounts that I've created. Now you can edit one that already exists by just selecting it, click on it once, and then the details are going to pop up here. So I'm clicking on Tony. And now up pops Tony's account on the right-hand side. You can choose to edit it by clicking on the pencil icon, or you can delete it, or in our case, we're going to add a new user. So ignore Tony altogether. We decided he's fine, but we do want to add some newbody. So you click on plus. And you'll notice that a lot of this is required data. It's all surrounded in red boxes. So the username will be whatever you want, but this is where you might create the one called Parish Council, for instance. And this code here is just the code for your particular account for Sevenoaks. You'll have a number that's different from this. This is my number in Long Sutton. Then you say, who is this that you're going to be putting in? What department are they in? You can leave that blank if you want to. Email is required. Now, this is interesting because you are required to give a different email address for each individual user. Now, in order to teach myself how the system worked, I gave myself a reader account, an editor account, a data manager account, and a admin account. And the question was, how do I find an email for each of those people? And what I discovered is that you can use the plus sign in the address to hide anything you like. So I said the email address for reader is gcstones52, which is my email address. And then I put in a plus and said reader@gmail.com. And the system says, okay, that's a different address from any other I'll send the email off. But the email does go to gcstones52, which is very nice. So for the next one, I put in gcstones52 plus editor account at gmail.com and so forth. So that's a way of getting around the requirement for a unique email address. You can just fudge it because not many of us have got access to 10 or 20 different email accounts, however many we're creating for ourselves as varying users in the system. And then type is the explanation of, what is an editor, what is a data manager, what is an administrator. All of that is here in the presentation for you. I've given you a link to the correct page in the knowledge base, which explains it rather well. So I didn't see any point in my duplicating what they've already got there for you. So there is one here called public maps. But that's worthy of a complete training session in itself. So I'll just mention that this is where you add public maps. It's actually pretty self-explanatory. If you wanted to play with public maps, you can do so. But also I do a training session in public maps later if you wanted to come to that. And so finally, the last one is billing, which you can only get into if you're an administrator. And it's very boring because all it does is tell you how much it costs to pay for Parish Online each year. And when it's next due. In our case, this has completely ignored the fact that we insure our parish through BHIB, and therefore they pay for Parish Online for us, which is handy if you happen to be renewing your insurance and you didn't know that. All right.
I don't really do the insurance, sadly.
Yeah, you don't do the insurance, okay. So it's not a problem. You've probably seen this morning, but when you want to get back to maps, you just click on the global maps icon. So we'll do that, and we're back to where we started. Next choice underneath the cogwheel is help and support. We mentioned this morning. You get two choices in help and support. You get the knowledge base and you get community, and you get a chance here to type in what you want. It doesn't matter if you type it in here or if you type it in knowledge base, you end up with the same answers. And ignore the fact it says XMAP Support Center. Parish Online is the little brother to a much more global system called XMAP. And so this knowledge base works for XMAP as well, but just works fine for Parish Online. Oops, sorry. So choose knowledge base and it comes up with this page. And here you can either select the articles you want to know about, or you can just type in whatever you want and it'll come up with the appropriate articles. So what they give you here are the most frequently accessed articles, but they are far from being all of them. So often I find it's just easier to type what you want and off it goes and finds it. So we've now covered all the topics in the top row except create. And this is the bit where the fun starts because I'm hoping that you're going to do your creation. Now, unlike this morning where I wanted you to select just one type of geometry, this afternoon we're going to do all three. So you'll take turns in doing a point, a line, and a polygon. We're going to add a feature to each layer. And then we'll do an edit and add an attachment, which again is a bit of a repeat of this morning, but not everybody who's coming to this particular lecture has gone to this morning's one. So there's a bit of repetition, but I don't think it hurts. Now, in case I haven't mentioned it anywhere before, you always need to create a layer before you can add features to it. So if you're trying to create something new and there isn't a layer already there for it, you need to create the layer before you add the feature. I think it's sort of self-evident, but it's worth saying. So you need to be, we know that you have an account and you know you have at least editor access, you're quite happy with the screens, so none of this is needed. Right, some of this is repetition again from this morning, I apologize. So you can only create new layers in the parish layers section, that you create layers first and then add features to them, right? You've got 3 choices of geometry and each layer can only have one of them. So then you determine the data that you want to store in columns, which is what we did this morning. and then you add the data and place the feature on the map once you're in edit a feature or add a feature, but you've got to create the layer first. So we're going to create the layers. Be exactly the same as this morning. Under each layer, we're going to put a name, a date, and a status. And the first one we're going to create this time is a point layer. So this morning you probably did polygon, but this morning we're going to start, now we're going to start with point. The idea being that you can see the difference at the end of this little session as to what the difference is between points layers and polygons, which is nice.
Mm-hmm.
So they're all going to be the same. So again, you'll recognize this. You're going to go into your parish layer, or sorry, you're going to go into the create menu and do a new layer. And when you get to there, you're going to add, just like we did this morning, a test record. And I put the word point here just so that you know what type of geometry this is. So you can put Georgie test -point, just like I did, if you're boring and uninventive. Then here, the second one, you're going to actually select point as the type of geometry you want, and you can put in a description should you wish, and then click on next. Now we're going to add columns exactly the same way we did this morning. So you click on the plus sign for the first one. It will come up with word name, text, and add plus, which is just what you want. So you just go ahead, click the next plus to create the next one. And this is where you have to change the second row called name and change it to date and change it to a date type. And when you've done that, there's one more column you're going to add. So you click on plus yet again. And this time you're going to change the name to read status, and you're going to add plus in the status row so that we can put in the 3 allowed values, which are anything you like, but for the sake of argument, we can call not yet started, under construction, and finished. So you should be able to create 3 allowed values in the same way you did this morning. When you put in the first one, click on the add to the top right, then the second one, then the third, and then confirm when you've finished. So 3 values, one is not yet started, the second is under construction, the third is finished. When you're done, confirm. And if it's all the way you want it to, then click on finish. So if you come back to my screen, there is a way of adding lots of values all in one go. If you've got a list of, say, maybe 10 drop-down values that you want to put in there, you can create them in a file with your notepad or an editor, and then just slip that in where it says add a value, and you can slip in the file and the whole lot goes in. It's very nice. I just mentioned that in passing. So you should now be back on your main screen, and you should have a new layer. Remember, you have to go down to the bottom of the parish layers to see your new point layer.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have to make the name column required, which, if you remember, you go up to the cogwheel in the top right, click on administration, and find your layer.
It keeps, when I've gone to save it, it says, are you sure? And says about adding columns to your map layer allows you to save information. But I have added the columns, but it's not letting me save it.
Okay, let me just unshare my screen for a second. And let me just give you the rights to share yours. You already got it. So could you share your screen, please, Georgie, and let me just see where you are.
Yeah. So it's coming up with this. And it did that when I did it first. So I quickly
so let's go back and see what it is you've got. Oh, took you back to the beginning. All right.
Oh, so it has put them,
test points. Test points,
yeah,
that's the point test layer. Okay, so
it's made 2 of each of them because I only did the 1 point test layer.
Oh, okay. Well, what we can do then, this is good practice. Let's just get rid of one of those. So go up in your top right to administration, where I'm going to move the photograph, or you need to move the photograph just
Yeah.
so you can see it. And then your layers comes up and get rid of one of the multiples. Yeah, just click on it and go up to the dustbin and get rid of it. Well done. It looks like you've got, just type in delete in capitals. Yeah, I can see you've done this before. And you also got lots of test points there as well. So
Yeah,
one of those.
I need to go through this. I'm glad that you showed us how to delete them earlier, because there's loads of test layers from previous people that have
Yeah, good. Well,
the account.
yes, you need to clean up the act.
Yeah.
Good. So now let's go down to the bottom again. Whoops.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
Ahead of myself.
Yeah, let's go back up to administration when you get there. And go down to your test layer points. Yeah, point test layer, good. Click on the top right. See you got the choice of columns or general. Go into columns.
Columns. Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah, you're there, name, date, status. Okay, I'll make that one required. That's good. Click on save. Yeah, go, perfect. And there it is, good.
Great.
And now you can go back to the maps. And it should be there. So, yep, scroll on down. Perfect. Right, now, there's no data there yet. You have an outstanding invoice. Lucky you. Pay the bill.
That's so embarrassing.
It's not your fault. Anyway, so let me just come back. If you stop sharing your screen now, please, Georgie, and I'll go back to sharing mine so I can remind myself where I am. I think I'm getting to the bit where I sit back and you do all the work, but let's just get this right. We can go around to there. I want to be on a slideshow from the current slide. Okay. We've done all this, we've done that, we've made it a required box. You're all set. Yep, we've just done all this. Okay, so you've created the new parish layer test point. Well done. You've done the necessary columns. You've done the status column as drop-down boxes with allowed values. You've configured the required data and we've saved it and clicked on the globe to come back to maps. Now, this is where I sit back and do nothing. And you go on and repeat exactly what you've just done for line. And you probably don't need to repeat it for polygon if you still got this morning's work. So you've already done that. So could you just do a repeat of that for a line entry?
Yeah.
So a layer for a line entry. And I'm sure you can remember that we're going to do 3 columns, name, date, and status. And you can remember all the original stuff. So I put on the screen what it is that you're doing.
Oh yeah. So date, status.
Let me know when you're done.
Mm-hmm. Okay, done.
Okay, so coming back to my screen now, we're going to add a feature to each layer. So again, some of this is repetition from this morning, but I don't think it hurts. So you're going to go back into your point layer. On the map, select your point layer, right click in the layer and select add feature. And you need to have scrolled and zoomed your way to wherever you're going to add this feature. So if you've got where you put the pavilion this morning on your polygon layer, it's handy to go back to that. And you should have come up with a fresh data record on the left-hand side, which is for your test points.
Mm-hmm.
So you can fill in just any old name, ignore the date and the status, we don't care about that. And then just move the mouse until you find where you're going to put your point. And you can put it anywhere you like in the area where your pavilion is roughly, doesn't matter. And just put it down. You just get one click, it's there, and then you can save.
Yep.
Okay, and then you can do exactly the same thing again with the line layer, and there is a way of cheating on this one. So if you look up on the left-hand side, you've got your feature editor has gone into a new record, yes?
Yeah.
So you can go to the top where it says select a layer, click on the little down arrow, and now just select your line layer that you've just created. And then add a line. So give it a name, give it a date, give it a status if you want to. And then what I suggest you do is you move your crosshairs to the place that you just put in as a point, and we'll make that the start of the line, where we're going to imagine the line as a footpath. So click on the point with a left click or just next to it, and then you can draw the line of the footpath, draw it wherever you like, go around in a circle, go around the tree and back again. Just be inventive. Change direction with a click each time, and when you finish, got to the end of the footpath, just double click. Yeah. And it'll all be in beautiful blue until you double click and it all turn to red. And on my screen, you can see it's gone blue and then it's gone red when we saved it. And hopefully you've got a footpath now. So you've now got a point, you've got a pavilion and a polygon and a line, all three on your map. I'm just looking to see if there's anything easy to do. Yes, you can move around. If you don't like the way you've put the footpath or the point, you can just edit them and change them. You know about that. You just click on anywhere on the line or the point or the polygon to select the record in the left-hand column. You can't be in feature editor, by the way. You have to be back on the layers of columns, the left-hand column showing all the layers. And then you click anywhere in any of the points you've just done, and you can edit them. So you can delete them, you can change their position, or you can change their names or the dates or whatever. And in the normal course of events, if you are tracking, let's say, the building of a pavilion, you might want to say on the first month, it's under construction, or probably even not yet started. And then as they get started, you can change the status. And then finally, when they finished it, you can say it's been finished. It's just a matter of editing the record.
Yeah.
And when you come to the style lecture presentation, you will teach you how you can get the system to change colors depending on whether the building is not yet started, whether it's under construction or whether it's finished. But that's not something for today. So I think we've done everything now. You've got a layer, you've got a layer of points, you've got a layer of lines, you've got a layer of polygons. You can add more features should you wish, or we can just say we're done. Now, if you look at the left-hand column now, you should see that depending on how you've done this, all three layers may be ticked. So you've got the points layer, the line layer, and the polygon. So you're showing all three items at once, and then you can toggle them off in turn just to see the effect. The things will disappear until you're only showing what layer it is you've got selected. Oops, sorry. Yes, so right, we've done the full menus all the way along the top. We've done a feature for each layer, we've done each of the three layers, and the final step is editing and moving, and you've already beaten that, so you're way ahead of the game. So we're actually finished. Yep. And we've shown you how to delete the entire layer itself, so you're way ahead of this system.
It was all teamwork.
And I now get the chance to say, let's finish the sharing and come back to you and say, do you have any questions, Georgie?
I think the only question is, so when I was trying to do the asset register report, I don't know if it's just because we don't have many things on there, but it didn't come up with anything when it did the PDF.
Oh, okay. Well, let's share your screen again.
Okay.
Do you know if you have anything in the asset register?
Well, that's, yeah, so I've on the, hang on, let me close
So yes,
that
you can
one.
close that
So
one.
we do have things on the asset register.
Okay.
Um,
So let's, which one of you know you've got?
so one of the ones that I
The
know,
buildings, presumably.
yeah, presumably.
So yes, because they're showing up on the right. Oh
Oh
no,
no, I
that's the one
think
you missed out.
those ones are probably our test layers. I need to
Okay, well,
turn
we
those
can
off.
turn those off. Oh, you're right. They've all disappeared, haven't they?
Yep.
Yes, okay. So go to your asset register. You've turned on and nothing shows up. So where do you think
I
there
went
is?
to Legend. So is the fact that it's showing stuff on Legend mean that there are things registered
No,
under?
no, that's just what's built into the system already.
Okay.
So go into the parish, the asset register. Which do you think you have data in? Do you know?
I'm not actually sure. I mean, I'd imagine land, surely. It's
Okay,
just that
so what you
all
want to do is just turn it on and do a right click in the land layer and select table view. And there's nothing, no data
okay,
available.
yeah, that'll be. I need to just move it all over. We've got, I think,
Yes,
three
so that was
different.
your question this morning. Is
Yes,
can you copy
yeah.
it over? And I'm afraid the answer is no. I'm very sorry.
It's just look at this: town council land, owned land, STC assets, town council assets.
Yes, well, clearly, oh, these are all the layers in the parish layers. Oh, Lord,
Yes.
oh, what a shame.
Okay, that's fine.
Well,
That
it's well worth, what you should do, Georgie, is go into one of those. So go into, say, town council land. Yeah, it's council assets, okay. And right click and any one of them, and let's just have a look at the table view. No, there's nothing there. So it
does that
looks
mean
like
that I can
someone
just
put them.
delete that one?
Try the council assets, next one down. Yeah, that one. Right click. Hey, there's one record. Well, it's not going to take you very long to copy that.
No.
But
Yeah.
what you can do, just as for fun, let's do this now. Come out of there, just close that one down. Go into town council assets. That's right. Now, no. Just leave it turned on.
Okay.
And now zoom in until you can. Oh, there it is. It's right at the big blue thing. Okay, so go up to there and click on it. Click on the town council asset, the building. Yeah, just
That's
click on
where
it.
I am right now.
Yep, there you go. Go to there and now go to the three dots, the top right, and copy to another layer and select a layer. Will it let you do? Yes. So go back up.
Where was it?
Is it going to be buildings? Surely it's going to be building, isn't it?
I think buildings is another one of the things that's in the parish layer.
Yes, it will. But okay, do you want to consider the town council offices? They're surely a building, aren't they?
Yeah. Oh no, I just didn't know if it would.
So just click them as
that's in
click
the
on
asset
building.
register. I just.
All right. So the category is required. It's go down to it's an office building. Yep. Do you know about UPRNs?
No. I
Oh,
don't
that's
think so.
really, this is fascinating. Okay. So just click on save there for the moment. Right. Do a come out of the feature editor.
Mm-hmm.
Come out of there. Just exit. Yep. Go down. So you're going down to keep going. We're going down to look for whoops. A bit further. We're going down to the addresses thing. See where it says addresses? Several layers down.
Yes,
there you go. Click on that. Do address plus points. And now click on the blue dot for your Seven Oaks Town Council offices. Off to the right. Yeah, you go. Yes. Right click. There's your UPRN. See the second item down in the left column?
Oh yeah.
So do a copy and paste that.
Mm-hmm.
And now go back to your asset register. Not that one.
Oh,
No. Asset register. So Close that. Good. Go into the asset register. No.
No, I thought I was being smart.
Okay, now click on buildings. Whoa, right click. And we had a feature there. Can we turn off all the other ones except the building layer? So that one off, yes, good. And the defibrillators you can turn off. Yeah, all of those, good. Well, but whoa, they're not turned off yet. See, we've still got a couple down the bottom, yeah.
Do I take the plus points off?
That can go, yeah, you've got the UPRN now. So now if you click on the icon for the Sevenoaks Town Council offices, that one, yep, just so you can open up the record, click on buildings, and now you can do edit and paste in the UPRN. Fabulous. All right.
Wonderful.
Name and description is easy.
Oh, yeah.
Perfect. Description of location, I wouldn't even bother with that. Do you know the details there about when it was purchased and how big it is and how much expensive it is? Because this is the time to stick in those values if you know them. If you don't, just click on save. Condition
state.
Yes, used. I would mark it for disposal.
Say.
Just get rid of it.
Not while I'm still in it.
No, I know. That's true. That's. Do you know the movie I, Robot?
Yes.
So Will Smith is in a house and the robot comes along and demolishes it whilst he's still in it.
Oh, yes, I remember that.
So I can see that happening to the Sevenoaks Town Council offices. You'll click it's up for disposal within seconds. This excavator will be along and start taking it away. All right. So if you have a picture of the Town Council offices, this is where you can attach it.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, you're all set. You made great progress, Georgie. I'm impressed.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
So any more questions since we're in the Q&A session?
No, that's great. That's really helpful.
Well, it's been lovely talking to you again.
Yes, you too.
I'll send you again the video and the presentation so that you can play with those. And it strikes me you're well on your way.
Thank you.
So it was great to see you. I hope we see you again.
Yeah,
and,
definitely.
Good luck with Parish Online.
Thank you. See you soon.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.